Welcome back. Once again, watching some more Higurashi. And, well, evil geniuses aside, there's a person here trying to aim for the lofty goals of being a deity. Whether or not it's to make up for her upbringing, people she's known, trying to make a name for her stand-in grandfather. All I know is that most of the town and village is willing to be sacrificed for it. So, how much can they actually fight back? We're going to have to find out. But that means sitting down and watching some more. So, grab yourself a drink. And let's begin. And after everything that we saw from this potential god candidate, whether they're trying to strive for it themselves or not, what can actually just a group of children do to fight back against it, considering every time they've reached out before, police have been taken out of the picture rather easily. But since it was mentioned that Hanyu was needing to join in the group as well, does an actual god have any abilities that would be useful to them all? Was that a new bit there? The red-eyed, like Terminator-looking god of the village? Honestly, my brain's fried, so it could have been there last week as well, and I just didn't realise. But if we're getting changes like this, extra characters being added in the form of this spirit, how's that going to change the dynamic? Then they will fight back against... The tree behind her being splintered into 1,000 pieces. If that's not wouldn't be a sign to people, then I don't know what else would be. Well, in a moment of despair, reaching out to a god for help. Yeah. Not looking great. Not looking great. Is that just a random payphone in the middle of almost nowhere? Huh. And with a single coin, well, would this be her fate changing? Does she have their number? Or is this back when the phone books were a thing, so you can flick through, try and find a Takano Hifumi? So in the last moments, it wasn't just a spasm of a death throw, but a... Let's see if she's needing to do a area code and everything as well. If that was left out, then oh no. This better not be a prank call. Now that name rings a bell. Now what brings you my way? Why you... If anything were to happen. Yeah, to have a phone call out of the blue like that. The real question is... Yeah, he didn't say anything in particular, just... He's a good man and a good mentor. Was that the coin running out? For one thing, this character actually reaching out, calling for help, unlike some of the others. Having that courage to try and fend for herself. Can't explain how she got so far and trying to take over the village. And that knowledge and fear of knowing what happens if you try to escape and the repercussions of such, you can see why they would try even harder to get away. Squashed. Just what? So, the others were caught as well. Please don't say that's waterboarding. Although, maybe waterboarding would be slightly better than... What the hell was that? I can see that they're not particularly too happy. In case you forgot, she left a reminder. So after receiving that phone call and it being cut off dead, whether or not he heard the last words that were said or not, thinking back on his past and the student that he had, why the bathrooms? The saviour at the last moment? Because he called in with that favour, he wasn't able to do anything else lest they be investigated. Well, hopefully they are investigated anyway, but still. And this, what, starts a life of new tutelage under him, bit of safety. See, maybe God actually came through to her. These windows have a fair bit of condensation. I think... a good question. But is she going to have any... no, at least immediate lingering effects of the situation she was in before? She wants to be of use. She wants to repay slightly for keep saving her from that situation. Yeah, maybe don't study too much. You're allowed to take a few days off. Is this the origin of this, the shadowy Tokyo lot as well? Colonel? Huh? Professors? Is this what his research is actually being taken notice of? As if he was infected by the very thing that he was researching. It's only if you try to leave, that's when it flares up. Or under an intense amount of stress. Or sleeping for 9 hours per night for 1 week. That's going to be impossible for me. But knowing that, just, a bit of peaceful-mindedness can help relieve the symptoms, or at least the onset of it. Surprised no one's thought of that one. Considering that she was heading up the research plenty years on, does it get picked up here? Well, that might be where funding started. Got to make an impression. They weren't waiting or anything. Didn't need to knock or ring the doorbell, but he definitely wasn't just hanging around waiting for them to come. No, got to provide them all with some tea. But is she going to overhear part of the meeting before going in? More like open the door to hear it. So it's going well. They're definitely listening to him. And of course, there's no parasite which would have a higher function than just pure reproduction, would they? It's not like, rabies is a thing which controls the host. Not sure how that actually works, but still. So they're gonna need a larger sample size. How's that going to be achieved? Yeah, he doesn't have the backing or staff to really make this a thorough bit of research, but to begin with, the start of it, it's a fair shout for an initial investigation. However, they're not going to pin their hopes on a fantasy. One could explain all religions. It would cause an uproar. So he's being called a quack. These are no longer a scientific approach. And having his work ridiculed and laughed at like that. If they came here just to ridicule him, make him stop? Ah. So they are fully aware that there's something here. So this is a threat. Or a friendly advice. And throwing all of his work on the... actually stepping on it. At least show a modicum of respect. I mean, that was kind of needed, I guess, in that situation. To not lose face even more. But still, not that I would agree with it. Even though they tried their hardest, it still wasn't enough. More still needs to be done. Ah, that wasn't her tears. But having his life's work made into a joke like that. So is that where her fervour, her zeal to get it done stems from? Just to prove them all wrong, to get back at them. Even if it took a few years. she strived for the best and actually achieved it. We have to give her some recognition for that. A friend, yeah. So, we saw him before, not that we got the understanding of why he was backing her or the history there, but seeing it now. It was kind of, as he said though, having his work survive through him, or have him survive through his work. Yeah, you can definitely say her thoughts and ways of going about it is an iron will. Has she really faltered or backed off from a decision she's made so far? But I wonder, is she doing this to make her grandfather's name known and his spirit continue on? Or is this also about revenge? Is she going to try and get back at the ones that laughed at him? What about the ones that trapped her in her childhood? But yeah, making declarations to a deity themselves, crying out when you're in the throes of it all, making a promise to the heavens that she'll fight back against fate. Oh, after credit? And with this clinic opening, then how her life would have been, well, either ended or completely different. So that's what, her repayment? Rejected? So, showing herself here. So, is that why Mio has been able to do everything so far? Because her zeal, her will has been the strongest. Never faltering. But is one strength going to beat out the group of them? Well, them's fighting words. Can anyone come along and see her shouting at nothing and have her committed? That would help. What a life she has led. Having her parents die at a young age, having the bus take them away, being led into an orphanage which was not exactly of the highest caliber. In a twist of fate, yelling at God and finding a coin that turned her life around. And then deciding to backstab the very god of fate that helped her in that moment of need to carry on the legacy of her grandfather, to carry out his research to elevate it to a higher level where it won't be laughed at as a mere quack's research into the occult. Even if for certain political reasons or thereof that it was trying to be buried and kept secret. Still not seeing any repercussions, whether it be legal or otherwise, for those that have wronged her here. I know we didn't need it, but it left a bad feeling in my mouth. But how much are we actually going to see from here on? Granted, we've now been given 2 episodes of her backstory, how her life, how she got here. But from there, where next? Are we going to get another episode of Takano's life? Or now the fight back, taking the battle to her? And if so, you've got to dismantle an entire life of fighting against the world, not just a summer. That is quite the war they're fighting. There's a couple of them which they lose heart pretty quickly. Let's see just how committed they can all be, though. Together they stand strong. But yeah, the folk tale side of it all, the legends and myths and occult, birthing way for the scientific side, a parasite, research into it, shadowy groups wanting to utilise it and either use it for money or military use. A lot to be said about this, and it's not exactly going to be, plain sailing any little way down. There's plenty more episodes to go in this season alone, so are they going to be able to come to an understanding without many more deaths? Is the summer not going to rewind far enough? Is Hanyu going to be a centre point of the group for all seasons going forward? To find out, we're going to have to see some more. If I've entertained you on this, if you want to see more of this, let me know. Leave a like and a comment on the video. Consider subscribing. But for now, get yourselves a bit of rest so I can see you for the next one.